Sunday morning. What is this? Senator George Borrello from Chautauqua County in New York State. And he has a lot of things on his mind on a Sunday morning, and he usually gives it to us the way it is. Well, Senator, give us an update of what the heck is going on in our state.
Well, first of all, I'm going to give you compliments for getting Chautauqua right on the first try again. Thank you very much. The residents of Chautauqua County, thank you. I'm up here in Albany.
I love Chautauqua County because there are a lot of, I've been there a lot, and there's a lot of decent people up there.
Thank you, and we appreciate that. Well, this week in Albany was very interesting. We had a Tax the Rich protest. The estimates were somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 people came up, although I think Mayor Mamdani was expecting more like 10,000, which didn't materialize. But there was no doubt there were people here to put pressure on Albany Democrats, especially, to get on board with raising taxes and making New York State even less affordable for people. And, of course, we've seen the mayor do this, I would call it a hostage situation, where he said either you tax the rich or I'm going to raise property taxes for everyone, which is certainly, in my opinion, not a choice that anyone should make. So the governor now is in a difficult position. I do believe that this is going to now be setting up a fight in our budget process. I suspect that once we see the budgets come out, the budget proposals from both the Senate and the Assembly, that we may indeed see those tax increases, including increasing taxes on corporations, which of course is a tax on everyone, right? And so we'll see what happens once these one House budgets come out. But I suspect there's going to be a battle about taxes between the governor and the legislative Democrats. And we, as a Republican conference, will continue to stand on making New York more affordable by lowering taxes, by reducing the burden, and reducing the out-of-control spending here in New York State.
Understood. And I mean, do we have any hope in getting in the right direction? I mean, right now, New York State still has a budget of what's the latest? 260 billion, 270?
260 billion right now is the governor's proposal, which is a massive increase over last year's adopted budget,
and 127 billion for the city. That's a total of almost 300 billion, 297.
Yeah, when you add it all up, John, between the city and the state, New York State spends more than Texas, Florida, South Carolina combined. And you look at the budget in Pennsylvania for a population that's only about 40% less than ours, and their budget is about $53 billion. So a fraction, about 25% of New York's state budget. So there's no doubt about it. And look, if spending more made New York more affordable, we should be the most affordable state in the country, right? It's not happening. And Mayor Mamdani, instead of saying he's going to address things that are systemic problems in New York State, like the massive amount of waste, fraud, and abuse in the MTA system, so many other things that where money is wasted in New York. Instead of addressing those situations, because that's harder, right? Let's just tax more and just keep overspending, and that's not a solution that anyone should consider to be financially responsible. New York is the financial capital of the world, at least for right now, but that is under threat in so many ways. And driving more businesses and more people and more earners that actually pay taxes, driving more of those folks out of the state is going to create a true financial crisis, a long-term crisis for New York State that if we don't turn around now, we may never be able to pull out of that death spiral.
Senator, the other thing, the example I made the other day I was on Fox Business, was Florida has almost 24 million people, and the budget for the whole state of Florida is $119 billion, and New York City has 8.5 million people, and the budget's 127 billion. I mean, how can we say that makes common sense?
It doesn't, John. And keep in mind that now the single largest expense here in New York State government is Medicaid. Medicaid is about $115 billion, so approaching half of New York State's budget. And that's just Medicaid.
Senator, there's more retired people in Florida. How can New York be in so much more?
Well, that's Medicare, not Medicaid. Medicaid and unfortunately, here's the problem with Medicaid here in New York State. It's estimated that only about 5.5 million people in New York qualify to be on Medicaid, the most expensive medical program in the country. But yet there are 8.5 million people enrolled in New York. So there's 3 million more people enrolled in the most expensive healthcare program in the nation than are actually financially qualified to be on that. That alone, if we could eliminate that clearly fraud and waste, that alone could.
I want you to say that again slowly, because I want everybody in the country to know the number. Say that again. There's 3 million what?
There are approximately 5.5 million people that who are income eligible. In other words, they meet the requirements to receive Medicaid, the most expensive Medicaid system in the nation. About 5.5 million New Yorkers qualify for that, but 8.5 million are actually enrolled in that program. So
how is that possible?
It's that possible because there has been absolutely zero attempts to actually clean up those rolls. And by the way, I know people want to say, well, it's people that are, this or that undocumented. No. What that most likely is fraud or just neglect. It's people that have moved away, people that have died, service providers, healthcare providers that are unscrupulously billing for services that they aren't providing.
Should the U.S. attorney get involved in something like that?
I think they absolutely should. I think the federal government, and by the way, I think this is why President Trump has been cutting Medicaid reimbursements to states, to say we're no longer going to borrow money to support your fraudulent system, and that's what this comes down to. The federal government is no longer going to be the sugar daddy for states like New York to spend more money and just to incubate more fraud. So that's what has to happen. But I think the next step, if that doesn't work, because they're going to burden New York taxpayers instead to continue this fraud, to allow it to continue, is for the federal government to come in and do an actual audit. New York State is likely wasting tens of billions of dollars a year on Medicaid fraud alone.
Well, Senator George Borrello from Chautauqua County, thank you so much for bringing everybody up to date, and let's talk again real soon.
Thank you.